Old Hollywood dazzled on screen, but behind the scenes, stars often clashed fiercely. As Bill Maher said, "You don't have to like each other to make great art." Let's explore some legendary rivalries that nearly tore productions apart, yet somehow the magic still happened.
However, if you are really looking for some action, I will bet you the same 1,000 that you cannot name the color tie you have on.
Frank Sinatra and Marlon Brando. In the 1950s, Hollywood was changing. The once powerful studio system was weakening, and new voices and styles were emerging. Frank Sinatra, the smooth crooner turned actor, embodied the old-school glamour and charm of the classic showbiz world. Meanwhile, Marlon Brando burst onto the scene as a new kind of actor, rebellious, raw, and deeply cynical about Hollywood's commercial side. Their paths crossed during the filming of Guys and Dolls in 1955, and the result was explosive. Sinatra, confident and seasoned, held the traditional star power, while Brando, younger and defiant, challenged everything Sinatra stood for. At first, Brando tried to collaborate, especially during rehearsals of the musical numbers, but Sinatra coldly refused to work with him. What followed was a full-blown divide on set. The two leads refused to speak directly to each other, communicating only through intermediaries. Sinatra reportedly resented Brando's attitude, while Brando responded with childish pranks, making the tense atmosphere worse. Director Joseph Mankiewicz was caught in the middle, struggling to keep control and keep the film on track. Despite the tension, Guys and Dolls was both a critical and commercial success, a testament to the professionalism of everyone involved. Yet neither Sinatra nor Brando ever looked back on the experience fondly. Their feud became one of Hollywood's most notorious examples of how great art and bitter rivalry can coexist. Peter Sellers and Orson Welles. The 1960s brought new kinds of chaos to Hollywood productions, and Casino Royale 1967 stands as a wild testament to that. Unlike the sleek and serious James Bond films that would follow, this version was a madcap spoof featuring an all-star cast and a dizzying array of directors and writers. But behind the humor and spectacle, tension simmered, especially between two of its biggest stars, Peter Sellers and Orson Welles. Peter Sellers was already a comedy legend, known for his brilliant character work and improvisational genius, yet off-screen, he could be difficult and unpredictable. On Casino Royale, Sellers insisted that Orson Welles play the villainous Le Chiffre, perhaps because he admired Welles' talent, but Sellers quickly grew jealous and suspicious of Welles, who was popular with the crew and visitors alike. Their rivalry escalated to the point where Sellers refused to share scenes with Welles. Although they filmed some shots together, Sellers demanded that the rest be covered by camera tricks so the two would never have to be on set at the same time. Sellers' behavior became increasingly erratic, including reportedly striking a director and eventually quitting the film before finishing his scenes. The chaotic production resulted in a bizarre patchwork of footage with multiple Bond stand-ins and a story that barely held together. Yet the film developed a cult following for its sheer audacity and surreal humor, a rare case where behind-the-scenes turmoil became part of the legend. John Wayne and Charlton Heston. John Wayne was a towering figure in Hollywood westerns, and by 1960 he was ready to direct his dream project, a film about the legendary siege of the Alamo. For the crucial role of Jim Bowie, Wayne hoped to cast Charlton Heston, another giant of the screen known for his commanding presence and memorable portrayals of historical leaders like Moses. But politics got in the way. Heston was a committed Democrat, while Wayne was well known for his conservative right-wing views. This ideological rift made Heston refuse the role, publicly citing Wayne's political stance as a major factor in his decision. Their political differences were more than personal opinions. They reflected the broader cultural divides that permeated Hollywood at the time, affecting casting and collaboration decisions. The two never worked together again, despite both appearing separately in The Greatest Story Ever Told years later. Interestingly, Heston's political views shifted over time. He eventually became a Republican and expressed regret for turning down the Alamo and missing the chance to work with Wayne. This change highlighted how political landscapes and personal beliefs can evolve, but by then, the opportunity had long passed. Still, the missed chance to unite two of Hollywood's biggest icons remains a notable example of how politics influenced relationships and careers in that era. Joel McHale and Veronica Lake. Love scenes can be tricky for actors even under the best circumstances, but when the leads don't get along, it adds another layer of tension. Joel McHale and Veronica Lake's experience on the 1941 romantic comedy Sullivan's Travels was exactly that. The film was a critical success and helped establish director Preston Sturges as a top Hollywood talent. McHale appreciated Sturges' support, while Lake, despite studios' doubts, was cast as the leading lady. But Lake's reputation for being difficult was well earned. She often forgot lines and even hid her pregnancy during filming, which caused delays and increased costs. Tensions on set grew as the production dragged on and the strained relationship between McHale and Lake became well known among the crew. Both actors reportedly avoided each other whenever possible, making scenes together all the more challenging to film. The atmosphere was tense, with frustrations mounting on all sides as everyone struggled to keep the project moving forward. By the end of production, both McHale and the director were exasperated. McHale reportedly said, "Life's too short for two films with Veronica Lake." When a chance to work together again arose on I Married a Witch the next year, McHale dropped out upon learning Lake was involved, making it clear he wanted no repeat of the previous experience. Charles Lorton and Laurence Olivier. When Spartacus went into production, the film featured two of the greatest English actors of their generation, Charles Lorton as Gracchus and Laurence Olivier as Crassus. But behind the scenes, their relationship was anything but friendly. According to fellow actor Peter Ustinov, Lorton and Olivier acted like snarling animals, openly loathing one another. Producer and star Kirk Douglas had fought hard to bring both to the project despite Lorton's disdain for the script and Olivier's personal troubles. Throughout filming, Lorton frequently complained, even threatening to sue Douglas, while Olivier didn't hesitate to keep his distance. Their hostility reached such a point that Ustinov often had to act as a mediator to keep the peace. Olivier later described Lorton as a genius, which might have contributed to their difficult dynamic. Despite the tension, Spartacus was completed and became a classic, but the bitter rivalry behind the scenes remained part of Hollywood lore. Bette Davis and Errol Flynn. Bette Davis and Errol Flynn shared the screen twice in the 1930s, but their off-screen relationship was rocky. Davis admired Flynn's charm and looks, but thought he lacked discipline and true acting talent. Flynn, on the other hand, resented Davis's controlling nature. Their clashing personalities often created an uncomfortable atmosphere on set, making collaboration difficult. Their tension famously erupted on the set of The Private Lives of Elizabeth and Essex, where Davis once smacked Flynn with her ring-laden hand, and Flynn responded by hitting her back. Such moments of physical conflict were shocking for Hollywood at the time, but revealed just how volatile their relationship was. Their fraught relationship was no secret and influenced Davis's career decisions later, casting a long shadow over any chance of future cooperation. When producer David O. Selznick wanted to cast them together in Gone with the Wind, Davis declined, doubting Flynn's ability to play Rhett Butler and wanting to avoid working with him again. Flynn, true to his candid nature, admitted he wasn't much of an actor, and the two stars' paths remained divided. Despite their shared stardom, their personalities and professional choices ensured they would never become close collaborators. John Wayne and Clint Eastwood. In the world of westerns, John Wayne was the ultimate icon, a symbol of traditional American values, rugged individualism, and clear-cut heroism. Clint Eastwood emerged later as a different kind of Western star, known for his gritty, morally ambiguous characters and a darker, more complex vision of the Old West. At first, Wayne had been something of a mentor to the young Eastwood, but as Eastwood's star rose and his films began to challenge the classic Western mold, tensions grew. Wayne did not approve of Eastwood's more cynical, revisionist approach to the genre, especially films like High Plains Drifter, which questioned the heroic myths Wayne held dear. When Eastwood invited Wayne to join the cast of The Hostiles in the 1970s, Wayne declined, not once but 3 times. He cited his disapproval of Eastwood's direction and the image of the West he presented. The divide between the two men was as much about generational shifts as about deeply held beliefs. Their feud kept two Western legends apart on screen, symbolizing the transition in Hollywood from idealized heroism to more complicated stories. Both actors continued their remarkable careers, but they never worked together, their mutual respect forever shadowed by fundamental differences. Old Hollywood was filled with larger-than-life personalities, and sometimes that meant big clashes behind the scenes. Despite their feuds and rivalries, these stars created unforgettable films that still captivate us today. Their stories remind us that creativity often blooms even amid tension and conflict.